River Road, you got me running way back home. River Road, you got me running all night long. You got me singing some canal boat song. River Road, you got me running all night long.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Niner Nuts. We are excluding Niners Nuts talk today, 49ers talk, I should say. In this episode, we will address Debo later because we obviously have to address the end of the season, and it ended, at least for us, speaking strictly for us, two diehard Niners fans and one actual Eagles fan, in the most... Huh?
You pointed to Eric, and then
well, no, to us two, the diehard.
Yeah, you're
Niners
pointing.
Fans.
You're pointing up to me.
Oh, because I'm inverted. I'm inverted again. Whatever. There's two Niners fans and one diehard Eagles fan, secondary Niners fan. Last night ended in the most glorious fashion that any of us. We are so happy our ticket didn't hit. Probably the happiest that our ticket didn't hit the entire season. We all know what happened. Super Bowl 59, the end of the 2024 season. And the Eagles, fly, go Birds. The Eagles took down the two-time reigning current Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs in probably an upset that I don't think even the most diehard Eagle fan would honestly in their heart think was going to happen. Please correct me if there are Eagles fans that are that cocky. I
I gave Eric 9.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gave him 9.5. You know,
not 18.
Not 18. No, not 18. But yeah, I gave him 9.5, and yeah,
dude,
this has been the sweetest $2 that I have ever made.
I just gotta say, like, I know I usually do nerdy numbers, but until I get my computer a little boost up, I'm not risking breaking this call with showing the box score. But as you see on the ticker down there, 40-22, the Eagles won, and all 22 points for the Chiefs were scored in the second half. It was 27-0 at halftime, right? Or was it 24-0?
24-0.
Okay, 24-0. Complete shutout in the first half. And it didn't really change from there. Like, once we got back from halftime, coaches don't win MVP, but I think Vic Fangio definitely, if coaches got MVP, Vic Fangio deserved an MVP because that was a masterclass of a defensive performance. I was telling, I think I said it in our chat, but I was telling my mom when I visited her a little bit ago that was some of the most disciplined defensive line play I have personally just flat out ever seen. They handled Mahomes in the pocket so beautifully, virtually no blitzes the entire game.
Not virtually. Absolutely none.
It was flat out zero.
It was flat out zero, yes.
Even better. Like, I guess for me, that was like the biggest takeaway of the game. Like, not just that Andy Reid and Spagnuolo, no one really figured out how to adjust on the Kansas City side after halftime, like with that big a deficit. But my God, Vic Fangio did his homework and he was out for blood, and it showed. And the chemistry on that Eagles team just really, really shined last night. And I don't know, Vic Fangio should have been the MVP, at least in my book. But then also, hey, it actually isn't sustainable winning by the skin of your teeth like the entire year. And BSing your way through a cupcake schedule. It finally came and bit them in the butt for the Chiefs. In the at least for us, boohoo Chiefs. You're probably still going to make the AFC Championship next year. Let's not kid ourselves. But like when the Bills won, I said, let's just enjoy this win because we might not see it again. I am so happy to be wrong. I am so happy to be wrong. I will step off my soapbox now. Either of you guys, obviously the Eagles fan, or Eric, your Niners fan perspective as well.
I'm gonna let James go first. He's got all the juice flowing.
Oh my gosh. This was obviously, with the year that I've had and everything that has gone wrong this year for me, to have something like this, this huge win against one of the most dominant teams we've seen in sports, and to not only watch that, but to watch it with my family and enjoy it and just have a good time, go through 50, 60 Jello shots or whatever it was. And just to have the best time of my life, like ever. Like it's hard to explain. Like, basically I have no kids, I don't have a wife, so it's like the greatest day of my life, right? I can actually say that, and nobody can be like, well, what about this? No, this is the greatest day of my life. Like,
They always say that all guys ever really want out of life is for their favorite team to win a championship, and you're really affirming that as like the actual truth, James, that really all that guys actually honestly want out of life.
Is this recency bias because this was against the Chiefs? Because the last one was your very first franchise win. Let's not forget.
So it's not that it's just the Chiefs. It's the fashion that it happened to be so dominant in this game. I thought we could blow them out, and I thought it could be like this, but I did not expect that. I know I gave Eric -9.5, but I didn't think it was going to be almost twice as much.
Yeah,
is that, I knew it could be, but I wasn't expecting for them to not even, like, the Chiefs didn't even score a point until close to the end of the third quarter, like pure domination. And, those are the type of games that as fans we like. We don't like the real tight ones, and, like, give me a blowout where I can sit back and relax, and I don't have to be tense during the game, and I can just say, this is so nice, and that's what I got. It's just the best, and to celebrate it with my family, and it's even better. And because the first Super Bowl, I wasn't with family. It was just me and a couple other people that I lived with in Florida. They weren't really Eagles fans or anything like that. So to be around where everybody is rooting for the Eagles and they're your family, it's just, it doesn't get better than that.
I will say this I'm going to cherish. I live vicariously through you, because if we couldn't, being the Niners, couldn't take them down and you did, I will live through you through that. And this might be the only time in my lifetime where I will be happy to have seen a blowout as just insane as this one was. Because I remember the Seahawks Super Bowl blowout, and like, I was mad for Peyton Manning, but then I was also mad, like, well, this game just kind of sucks for everybody. Like, I'm mad for Peyton, but no one's enjoying this game outside of Seattle. Like, yeah. Now I get the inverse of it, and I want to cherish that I actually enjoyed a blowout for once.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the best. And I already made my plans. I'm going to the parade on Friday. So
you have no excuse. It's within driving distance of you. You better be
exactly. My buddy and I were taking the train in. We're gonna.
You bought your diapers?
I mean, yeah, we're taking the train in, and we're just, it's going to be the best time, because I missed the first parade and all of that. And, I'm still trying to think who's going to have the best speech at the parade, like with who we have and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm just excited for it to get to do this,
Yeah.
One of the reasons why I came back to the PA was because something like this could happen, And now that it has, it's like, all right, well, like I didn't get to do it last time. I'm going to do it now, and I'm going to go celebrate with a million Eagles fans, and try not to step in pee, I guess.
I mean, the city is shut down, right? I mean, they shut the whole city. I mean, it's Valentine's Day anyway, so I mean, I guess it kind of works out. But
Well, I mean, yeah, first of all, like two weeks ago, when the Eagles made it into the Super Bowl, there were a couple of schools that gave a 2-hour delay on Monday, regardless of the outcome. And
nice.
Yeah, so and then after the outcome, like every school in the area had a 2-hour delay. Like even my hometown, like because I'm an hour and a half out of Philly, so even my hometown, all the schools got a 2-hour delay today, and even my niece's husband, he got a 2-hour delay to go into work. So
that's awesome.
Philly's just another different. We're just different, man.
Yeah.
We know what's important in life.
I'm surprised it wasn't the entire day. Like at least I know I'm not the only one that likes to treat Super Monday as a holiday as much as it pained me. That's why it pained me to go to work today because I had to. But that's why we need it on an actual holiday weekend now. Like I can get behind Roger Goodell adding one more week if that means Super Monday can actually be a holiday.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, like, I'm sure my two nieces wish that they took the day off today because they were the ones. I did tequila Jello shots and I did Fireball Jello shots. And so I was on the tequila ones like the whole night, and my nieces were keeping up with me with the tequila shots, and then they had to go into work today. I'm just like, get up at 11. And they're sucking at work. I was like, man, you got to know, you got to plan ahead, man.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a ball. I mean, I don't know how many Jello shots I actually made, but it was a lot, and we had just enough to make it all the way to the end of the game. So with like about 10 people. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Eric, I have been at a couple parties with these Jello shots, and it is glorious how committed James is to making sure that they do not run out. There will be leftovers.
Yeah. I make sure, definitely.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So, and my mom didn't know how to make them, so I got to teach my mom how to make Jello shots.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, my she's going to be 72 this year, and she never learned how to make Jello shots. So I taught her how to make Jello shots. Yeah.
What a beautiful bonding moment you two got to have.
I know.
That's great.
Yeah. Like she helped me shop for the cups too, because they ran out at Walmart. So we had to search around and find a Giant and get the rest of the cups at the Giant, and so.
Outside of the clock hitting 0 and it like hitting like you officially won, like what was probably the play that like geeked you out the most? Like, because I'll say for me, it was seeing Cooper DeJean, a rookie on his birthday, getting a pick six. I flipped for him. I was so happy for him.
Well, it was at that point that I thought, okay, this game could get out of hand if that's happening. If Patrick Mahomes is throwing pick sixes, that it easily, like I was like, this could get out of hand real quick if this is the way it's going. But it finally, like when Devontae Smith caught that 60-yard pass or whatever, then I was just like, it's over. I mean, they're up 34-0 at that point, and the largest comeback in NFL history is 33 points. So
the play after a failed 4th down conversion, instant 50-yard bomb touchdown. Like,
yeah,
I agree. I'm pretty sure that's when I realized that it was over too.
Yeah, I mean, 34-0 going into the fourth quarter. Like, you have to be pretty confident. I mean, that's
that's not even possible.
yeah. I mean, unless you get every onside kick after every score,
Yeah.
Every play would have had to have been that same 60-yard bomb to Xavier Worthy for them to have a shot to come back.
I know.
Yeah. Shout out to Xavier Worthy. He had a really good game, and for the Chiefs not doing a whole lot, he played really well.
Yeah, and garbage time, like, I mean, the whole fourth quarter was garbage time.
That's why I told my wife at because I was like right by the 2-minute warning, like that Xavier Worthy touchdown. I was like, okay, damn, all right, like you're going down swinging at least. Like, too bad it's garbage time.
Yeah,
that would have been a really pretty pass like 2 quarters ago.
I know, right? Well, I think by then the Eagles had their backups in too. Like the people who were the people who were covering that second touchdown to Xavier Worthy were not starters.
Oh, I'm sure not.
Yeah, so they got it against backups, and that's.
You brought out Kenny Pickett, with like 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Yes, Kenny Pickett has more pass attempts in the Super Bowl than Tony Romo, Dak Prescott, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen combined. So
and he's got a ring before all of them.
He doesn't have any completions.
But he has an attempt.
That was astounding to me. Like all the memes popping off today, and the one that said Kenny Pickett's got a ring before Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. I was like, oof, right in the heart.
Yeah.
Well, it was easy to see what their plan was and what the Chiefs wanted to do, and that was stop Saquon at all costs.
It was. Yep.
Stop Saquon, sell out for the run,
and they did for the most part, really.
Yeah, 31 touches for 93 yards, something like that.
Yeah, he only had 57 yards on the ground.
I know he had like 57 yards on the ground off of 25 carries or something like that.
Yeah, which is not a good. I mean, if you'd have told me Saquon was going to get 25 carries, I'd have told you he was going to have 150 yards typically, right? I mean, that's, what he's typically going to do. So the fact they held him to only 57, if you just said that the Chiefs held him to 57 yards on the ground, I'd have been like, whoa, that's bad news for the Eagles.
Bad news for the Eagles, yeah.
Yeah, but not in this game. Their defense was just so dominant. I mean, it was just unreal what they were able to do with just their front four. I mean, the pressure that they got on Mahomes all night long with the front four that they put up there was just unreal. I mean, Jalen Carter and Josh Sweat and all those guys were just constantly putting pressure on. And I mean, when you can get that kind of pressure and then drop 7 back, I mean, there's no answer for that because there's nowhere to throw the ball. I mean, everyone's covered. I mean, you've got 4 guys, sometimes 5 running patterns. There's still 2 extra guys to defend all of that back there at some point in time, sometimes 3. I mean, so there's just nothing that you can do in that regard. And, even somebody as quote unquote great as Patrick Mahomes is, you can't do anything if you don't have the time and you don't have the open windows to throw into. They tried to do, quick passes and stuff like that, but even that stuff wasn't available because the Eagles were right on top of their guys. So, I mean, it was an amazing defensive performance. I echo what you say, Dan. I mean, if you could give the MVP to a coach, I mean, Fangio should have easily won MVP for that defensive masterclass. I mean, I texted you, Jimmy, when it was 24-0 and said, congratulations on your Super Bowl. I mean, it was a wrap at that point in time in my mind. I mean, there was no way that with the way that the Chiefs had been playing and they had been just absolutely dominated in every aspect by the Eagles at that point in time, I was like, there's no way that they're coming back in this game. I mean, like maybe they'll score a couple times and make it interesting, but they're not going to come back from this because they're not going to slow the Eagles down. I mean, the Eagles were just moving the ball and everything as well. So, I mean,
I think after the first half, the Eagles had more points than the Chiefs had yards. Like I think it was like the Eagles had 24 points and the Chiefs had 19 yards of offense.
Yeah.
Like that's just insane. The shutdown an Andy Reid team like that in the Super Bowl. Yeah, you're right. It's a masterclass by Vic Fangio, and it's definitely well deserved. And considering going into the game that Mahomes was 8-0 against Vic Fangio, like he owned Vic Fangio, and for Fangio to come out and coach those guys and keep them on the same page. And yeah, I mean, it's just one of the all-time defensive performances we've ever seen in a Super Bowl, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
couldn't
yeah, for sure.
believe I couldn't believe that you only let him get away with like 2 Houdini runs.
Yeah.
And what there was I can't remember what quarter, if it was the second, I think it was in the second quarter, that you sacked him like 2 dropbacks in a row, and then he threw an incompletion, then you sacked him again.
Yeah.
Like that drive alone, I think it was in the second quarter, maybe third, but like it was that many just sacks in a row. I just was completely flabbergasted. Like I said earlier, like the discipline on the front four is just A+ spectacular.
Yeah.
There was one time where he like Mahomes managed to like, and I don't remember what quarter it was in, but there was one time where he did manage to like dance around for like, I don't know, about 7 seconds back there, where he was just like doot, 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 and he just bounced around forever back there until he finally, I think that was the one where he like just backhand flipped it to somebody downfield. And I was like,
wasn't that one
like,
called
okay.
Wasn't that one called back for a hold though? I think I remember.
Oh, maybe, I don't know, but it was still like, I was like, all right, well, fine. At least he scrambled around once on him, but I mean, it was amazing. I mean, and it's unfortunate that a lot of people won't appreciate what we saw in the Super Bowl, right? Because a lot of casual fans and a lot of people that don't really watch football will have watched that game and will have watched that, and they'll have thought, 24-0, this was boring, Chiefs suck, and blah blah blah, and they won't really understand what went into that whole thing with the Eagles being such a definitive defensive performance and such domination against that team, and what that meant for the season and coming into this game and against that kind of an offense and everything like that. Like, people just won't understand that. But I as somebody who somebody who really enjoys watching football and gets into the minutia of it a little bit, it was fascinating to just see that this Eagles team was just so just destructive. I mean, in the first half, they just wiped the Eagles off the planet, the Chiefs off the planet, just wiped them off the planet. I mean, they were just non-existent. I mean,
they chose violence. They chose violence.
Yeah. I mean, it was just unbelievable that, I mean, I've unfortunately watched the Chiefs enough because they're always in prime time or whatever, Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, whatever, that I've seen the Chiefs play enough, and they're good. I mean, like, I don't know if people really understand that. They're a really, really good football team. Now, they had some mistakes in the game last night where they, we talked about them being the situationally perfect team, and they botched themselves up a couple of times in that game where they weren't on top of their stuff in those situations. But I mean, the Eagles just wiped the floor with them, and that's just not something that I would have never bet in any way, shape, or form that the Chiefs would have been shut out in the first half. I mean, if you would have given me any amount of money and said, put it on Chiefs shut out in the first half, there's no way I would have done that. There's just no chance I would have ever done that. And then yet here we were. I mean, they were just completely obliterated.
You're on mute, man.
Let's assume that you are not a great co-host and didn't listen to the episodes with you absent, James. We did begrudgingly, now we have egg on our face. We assumed, like a lot of people, that we're so disenfranchised that Chiefs are just gonna Chief. They BS their way through the rest of the season, and the Eagles are good, but I mean, the football gods hate us, but they got us. They had us by the cojones and said, "Don't worry, we got you. It's going to be this beautifully embarrassing loss." And I'll wipe the egg from my face. I didn't give you guys enough credit going into the game. Let alone, I don't think anyone predicted this was going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it could happen, and there were a lot of Eagles fans that thought this could happen, but to really truly expect it to happen, I don't think anybody expected that. I expected maybe 10 points, like we would
Yeah.
win by 10 points, which is why I gave you -9.5.
Yeah.
We would win by 10 points, but to go out there and completely dominate it and make it look like the Chiefs don't know how to play football. Like they
Yeah.
look like some sort of like peewee team, that, was just that they almost had to use the mercy rule on, because,
Some running clock.
it's a running clock,
They stopped putting up the score.
and so it was just, I couldn't believe that we really, like, I thought it could happen, but I honestly didn't expect it, and for it to happen is just, I mean, it's incredible. And it's it's the kind of game as a fan, like if that's your team going out there and dominating a win, just any Sunday you're happy, but to do it in the Super Bowl, do it in the Super Bowl, like where I basically, after that touchdown to Devontae Smith, was just like I could kick my feet back up and I could just enjoy, the rest of the game without having to worry about some magical comeback by Patty Mahomes. So I mean, something like that it's incredible. Like, we're talking like it's 85 bearish.
Yeah.
Think about the 85 Bears and how dominant they were. In
13 Seahawks.
Yeah, the Ravens back in the
2000 or whatever.
2000 when they had Trent Dilfer at quarterback, and the defense said, "Just give us 10 points." That's like I mean, it goes up there. With the Bucks against the Raiders too, because that was
that 0-2 Bucks team. Yeah,
that was a dominant defense. I mean, this team is right up there with the all-time great defenses now. Just how dominant they were. And, Philadelphia hadn't seen a defense like this since 1991 that was this freaking dominant. And in 91, we were only the fifth team to actually lead in both rushing and passing defense and then total defense. So, and that has always been the standard in Philadelphia. That every defense gets measured to, like how great, our defenses are. I mean, it gets measured against the Jimmy Johnson era defenses, and it gets measured against the Buddy Ryan era defenses. And this defense proved that, they could carry, like the Eagles scored points on offense, and they had to win, and they had to score points. But literally, this team could have just, the defense could have just basically dragged them if the offense wasn't doing well. They could have just dragged them, and just shut out everything completely. So, best defense in Philadelphia history by far. And that's including the 60 defense. We're including the 48 and 49 defense. Basically because that's a different era of football, and football was played differently then. So to go out there and just manhandle the best team, that really what has been the best team in football for the last 3 years. It's hard to argue, that the Chiefs haven't been the best, football team. Like they were literally, they were already a dynasty when they came into this game. They won 3 Super Bowls, 2 in a row, going for a three-peat. Like they were the dynasty. And now the Eagles are now looking at, maybe becoming a dynasty now on their end. And so to flip the script like that for Jalen Hurts, to get back, he made history, not only getting back to the Super Bowl after losing, but he's the first quarterback to beat the team that beat him in his first appearance. Like he's the first quarterback to do that. Like no other quarterback has beaten the team that has beaten him in their first appearance. So just goes to show you the character of this team, especially after last year when, you know, they were looking like the Chiefs this year, but then they had the big collapse, you know, and to come back from that, regroup, and end up going the distance. I mean, it's something like, you know, it's out of a storybook, you know, like it's just the way things have gone for the Eagles the last 3 years.
I love that little nudge that Sirianni gave to gave to Kellen when he was complimenting Vic and him, and he looked back and he was like, "Let's run it back, Kellen." I just love that little because I'm surprised today he wasn't announced that he was the Saints coach. I don't know what kind of moratorium there has to be like between the Super Bowl and announcing it, but
like he's on stage like I'm the coach of the Saints.
He missed an opportunity to say this is my stadium.
Yeah.
This is my house now. Yeah.
We all know that's gonna happen, and like. Now, and also Nick's up for a new contract. And you know what? Back up the Brinks truck. You got to 2 and you won 1. Like he might be the highest paid coach now. Maybe
he will. Once the contract is signed, he'll be the highest paid coach.
I'm trying to think. I don't know who his competition would be because like he should get more than Mike Tomlin, and Mike Tomlin would be my guess just because of his tenure.
Yeah, I perfectly imagine Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman to give him one of the, if not the biggest contract ever for an NFL coach, just highest annual value.
What did Carroll just get for coming back to the Raiders?
No, we don't. Well, that's the thing. They don't have to disclose those numbers, so we don't get to know unless just because they don't count against the salary cap. It's just whatever the owner is willing to pay.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Like
unless it's like a super big contract, like the Gruden contract.
Yeah.
They did that, like something that big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, I think the numbers will come out for Nick Sirianni. Just
probably.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like I would assume Kyle's up in the top 5. Nick is definitely probably going to be number 1. Like once it's all said and done. So obviously top 5.
Campbell's probably up there because I would imagine he just got a new deal not too long ago.
And O'Connell, I think is second year into an extension. I think he got an extension last year. So Kevin O'Connell would be top 5. Maybe he might be. He might be right high. Yeah,
he just got extended. So
maybe, if only we were allowed to know those. Like they don't count against the cap, so it doesn't matter. But
yeah.
McVay. I wonder what McVay is making.
Oh yeah.
True.
So, but to echo what you were saying, James, I agree with you on the feeling of a blowout in the Super Bowl. Dan, I think you're too young to either have seen either of them, but I was 2 when we blew out the Chargers. Okay, all right, yeah. So I mean the 2 Super Bowl victories by the Niners, the last 2 that were both blowouts. I mean, it is truly a glorious thing to just sit there and watch and just be like, oh yeah, we're kicking their ass and it's great. And you just watch it and you just watch everything just fall into place and all your players make all the plays and everything just happens and it all just goes the right way for you. And you just watch the points just keep piling up and you just know, like by halftime, you're just like, yeah, all right, we're winning the Super Bowl. This is pretty friggin' awesome. I like this a lot. And you just sit there and you're as happy as you can be. And the second half of the game, you just sit there and you're just relaxed, you're comfortable, and you just enjoy the ride because you know what the end of the outcome is already going to be. And it's fantastic. And so, I mean, I totally have been there with you, James, before. I know what that feels like. It's a great feeling.
Haven't lost the memory yet? You haven't lost the memory of it?
No,
Dude.
No, it hasn't. The gray has not faded that part away yet.
How wild where in the third quarter? Like, was it because I can't even pretend to imagine like what that must have felt like. Because I was worried. I told my wife, I was like, yeah, like they're up 24-0. Like, that's awesome. But like we saw 28-3, like, or I did, she didn't. I saw 28-3.
I saw 28-3 too. Yeah.
So like it's not technically over. Like speaking to her, I was like, I saw 28-3 happen. So like it's not impossible.
Yeah, but you got to remember too, 28-3 happened right at the beginning of the third quarter, and then that's when they started. You look at when
But the fact that this didn't, the fact that the Chiefs didn't even adjust like to make it a 10-point loss instead of 18 or a 7-point loss, like that was astounding to me. That like just Andy Reid couldn't figure it out at halftime, and it just
well, and that's the thing, that interception by Zach Bond right
Yeah.
before the half,
Yeah.
that was the killer right there. Because the Chiefs were thinking, we're going to go down. We're down 17-0. But we can go down the field, score a touchdown. We get the ball back in the second half, and we can score another touchdown. We'll be right back in this game.
Yeah.
And Patrick Mahomes throws an interception. Hey, that was a good play by Zach Bond. He just he read it right, and he dived and caught the ball, and like that, that was another time where it's like, oh man, this is different. This is not going to be like other Eagles Super Bowls where they just, it goes down to the wire. Like they are just flat out just exposing this offense and, just treating them like they're, they were their daddy, and
out for blood for real.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I tell you, once I saw Hopkins drop that one pass, I was like, yeah, this game's over. When he ran that one slant across the field and Mahomes hit him and Hopkins just kind of like stumbled a little bit and dropped the ball and he was wide open as could be, I was like, Hopkins never, ever, ever.
Oh, that one that would have been, because he would have taken that to the house, like a 70-yard touchdown.
I mean, I don't know if he'd have gotten all the way to the end zone, but he had plenty of room to run. But yeah, I mean, he just stumbled a little bit, completely dropped the ball. I was like, Hopkins doesn't ever drop the ball. I was like,
no,
this game is over. I was like, nothing is going to go the Chiefs' way this game. Everything is going the Eagles' way. I'm like, this is a wrap. So
and I'm honestly glad too that because our first Super Bowl, there were a couple of plays, there were a couple of touchdowns where it came down to a referee's interpretation of a rule for us to get those 2 touchdowns and win that game. With this, no, it was flat out the Eagles. Absolutely, it wasn't like we were getting, calls.
It was a little scary in the first quarter where we thought some real serious ref BS was going to happen.
Oh yeah, for sure. On that first 4th down on that drive.
Yeah, with a little tap, and it was like
a little tap on the helmet, and they called pass interference.
Yeah.
So but they gave us a call back when the Dallas Spider hit.
Yeah.
So but I mean,
that was a hilarious flag to go in your favor. That was such a word. I'll take it, but that was kind of stupid.
yeah, for sure. So but like I said, for the most part, the game wasn't decided by one person's interpretation of the rules. Like it was when we faced the Patriots. There were 2 touchdowns that it came down to review. And it came down to interpretation of the rule. And we just happened to get those calls. This year, like this, it was just, there was no doubt about every single score. There was no replay decision or whatever that caused, that cost the game for anybody. This was just, it's just like, you get a touchdown, you get a touchdown, you get a touchdown, and you get a touchdown,
And then we all had to call some Giants fans just to make sure that they were okay.
Yeah.
Well, I, for one, was very grateful that Dotson got pulled down at like the 1-yard line so that Hurts could get pushed into the end zone. So that cashed money for me. And then all of the garbage time points by the Chiefs and them going for 2-point conversions was absolutely fantastic. You couldn't have seen, if you guys could have seen how thrilled I was when they got the ball back and Worthy caught that big bomb of a touchdown. I was so thrilled. I was jumping off my couch because I needed one more stupid 2-point conversion to cash a bet. It was the best thing ever.
Oh, how much did you get on that bet?
I needed it. So it was a bet for two successful 2-point conversions in the game. 5 turned into 52.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah, but I originally just thought it was, would there be 2-point conversions in the game? I didn't realize that it said successful. So when the Chiefs went for their second 2-point conversion, I was like, oh yeah, I was all celebrating and everything, and I was already happy. And then I looked at my stupid ticket and I was like, oh, it says successful. I was like, oh, stupid Chiefs, you're going to screw me out of this ticket again. I was so mad. And then they got the ball back with 2 minutes or whatever it was to go in the game. I was like, oh, they're never going to score. I was like, this is going to happen. Boom, he launches this 60-yard rocket to Worthy. I was like, ah! I was so elated, and then they scored on the 2-point conversion. I couldn't have been more thrilled. It was the best ending to the Super Bowl of all time.
I'm glad one of us actually. All my tickets were dead in the third quarter. Like I knew my parlays were not going to hit the way Barkley wasn't running, and then Goddard got through the third quarter without a catch, and I was like, well, there goes Goddard to catch every quarter, and I even did the coin toss and win the game for both of them. And no, Chiefs won the coin toss and lost the game. So both of my coin toss tickets died.
Yeah. And, for the record, this is in the group chat, just so everybody knows. I wanted an interception by Patrick Mahomes on the play. I said he would throw an interception, and Eric and Dan were like, he hasn't thrown an interception, in 8 games or something like that. Well, Eric was like that. Dan was like,
I caved to Eric. I should have.
We all caved to Eric. So
our ticket still wouldn't have hit.
I know.
But I should have trusted.
Instead of it being a 45,000 ticket, it would have been 100,000.
Because I pushed for Patrick throwing an interception last year, and I should have just rode that. Because he's thrown a pick in every damn Super Bowl.
Well, when he gets to the Super Bowl again this next coming season, we'll put him in for an interception on the ticket.
Yeah, for sure.
James, I just want to say I'm really happy for you. I'm really happy for your team. Congratulations on your victory. Congratulations on winning the Super Bowl. It's really great that at least, as Niners fans, we didn't get there this year. We didn't do shit this year. Oops, earmuffs. We didn't get anywhere this year. But it was great that we got to be along on the ride with you for this run and for this championship. So congratulations to you. I'm very happy for you and your team.
Thanks, Eric. I really appreciate that.
I ditto. I celebrate vicariously through you. And like I said earlier, if we couldn't do it, the fact that you were able to do it, I couldn't be happier. Not just for anti-Chiefs, but to see you so happy with another Super Bowl. That's just awesome. I'm so happy for you guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And it's just, like I said, best day of my life was yesterday, and
I love that so much. I really do. I do. I just love that so much. It really is what every guy wants out of life. They're just like, what do you want out of life? I just really want my favorite team to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And I thought I was only going to get the one. And then now to get this, the way it happened, the fact that I was with my family this time, that was all icing on the cake, cherry on top, sprinkles, chocolate sauce, caramel sauce, peanuts, whipped cream, all of that, it was the best Sunday ever. The little double entrons were there. But yeah, with the year that I've had, getting this is just, the best. And I'll say this, I know there's probably a certain person who was really, really upset that this happened. And you know what? Good. I don't care.
The only thing that can top this now, James, is actually being there for the Super Bowl the next time that they're in there.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'd probably have to save money for 3-4 years,
Start now.
I was going to say,
I do live with my parents and I don't pay rent. So
I was going to say, if you pray it's not next year for your wallet, because the Bay Area is not cheap.
Yeah. Well, they have packages that you can get for, it's $9,000, but you can get airfare, hotel, and ticket to the game.
Okay.
For $9,000.
Wow, I mean,
sign me up.
I know, right?
Packages. Can't we somehow like bill that to the Niner Nuts organization?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure,
As a
I'm sure
credential?
Sam Shady's going to write a check for $9,000.
Yeah,
To send me to the Super
can't we-
Bowl,
can't
and
we
not
be-
himself, who's an Eagles fan.
Can't we be press members or something? I mean,
bill
come on.
we'll bill our EP like next year. We'll go ahead and get that accounting squared away. I'm sure he won't care at all.
I mean, we're the exclusive Niners podcast of the Shady Sports Network. If the Niners are the Super Bowl, we have to be there. I mean, there's no doubt.
Oh, especially
and the thing
We'll
about it is,
we'll
like,
be on Radio Row. It'll be amazing.
I know, that's the
in
thing,
the Bay
like-
Area next year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing too. Like you see, like some of the media that gets into, media day. You're like, they don't cover football. They're not even like a football,
Yeah.
entity or whatever. They don't. They go to ask like ridiculous questions, like, "What's your favorite flavor of ice cream?" or
Yeah.
or like like take this quiz or do this challenge. That's all they go for. They have no idea. They have no care about who wins the game, what happens. They're just there to get funny interviews.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we could totally do that.
I know. Why can't it be us?
Yeah.
Next year, even if we're not in there, like it's in the Bay Area. I mean, it would fit the brand. Like
Yeah.
we got a mission now. A year
You
from
guys-
now,
Talk to Sam.
we got a mission. With that,
Clearly, I think all the money from our sponsor has gotten to pay for this by now.
surely yes. And speaking of which, we can get more if all of y'all go to
Pay
our
for our
sponsor.
trip to the Super Bowl.
Patron our sponsor, Royal Retros. What is Royal Retros? It is your go-to place to get yourself an authentic throwback jersey, whether it is football or basketball or any of the major sports. They got you covered. All of us Bay Area fans need to check out the Candlestick collection. It's still up there. It's curated with us in mind. They got Giants gear for baseball, Niners gear for football. When you find something you like, use the promo code Shady Sports to get yourself 10% off of your entire order. Again, it is promo code Shady Sports for 10% off of everything in your cart, not just the Candlestick collection. It helps us out. It helps Shady Sports out. Again, go visit royalretros.com and use promo code Shady Sports to get 10% off of your order. That's Royal Retros. Go get yourself an authentic throwback jersey today. And we are also selling t-shirts that aren't really going to supplement our trip, but you should still buy them anyway for a good cause. James, tell them about these charity t-shirts.
So, guys, we've been trying to promote and try to bring awareness to the lack of accountability for owners in the NFL. And we got a nice story before the Super Bowl this year that had been played out. And so all of if you follow football enough, where you saw Tyreek Hill get arrested on opening day, and within 30 minutes, we found out, and everything was on the news, and the video of him getting arrested was everything. We had everything we needed to know within hours of Tyreek Hill getting arrested. But you probably didn't hear the story that came out during this period between championship weekend and the Super Bowl, where the Saints were helping the Diocese of New Orleans, the Catholic Diocese of New Orleans, determine what priests should be publicly put on the pedophile list. And you didn't hear about the story. Even today, like my brother-in-law, he took me to breakfast and we were talking about the game and stuff like that. And I was talking to him about the show. I was like, did you hear about the Saints and what they were doing? He said, no. And then I told him, he's like, yeah, I really didn't hear about that. Like that, for whatever reason, go to ESPN February 3rd, 2025 and read the article by ESPN and what the Saints were doing. Because when we reported on it, we were told by our source, it would take a lawyer giving up his license completely for the emails to be released, because there was a fight between the New Orleans Saints and the state, because the state wanted to release the emails, and the New Orleans Saints worked vigorously for that not happen, and they won. And so the emails were finally released to the Associated Press, and what they found is very egregious, and everybody should be concerned. And somebody needs to start. We need to start a campaign to get the owner of the New Orleans Saints out there, because this is disgusting that they were trying to hide pedophiles. Like, that's just not cool. And you didn't hear about it from any news source or anything about it because it came out during the Super Bowl and everybody's focused on the game. And because it's not a player, you don't hear about it. So owner standards are, yes, less than player standards, and we need owner accountability. And to show you we put our money where our mouth is, we are selling t-shirts with that statement right here. $22.99 gets you that in a t-shirt. We have different colors, different sizes, different styles. But we also have our own merchandise, Niner Nuts apparel. The first one we got here is our podcast logo art. You'll find this on our YouTube channel, or you'll find it in our profile on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. $22.99 gets you that in a t-shirt, and we have different styles, different sizes as well. Next up, we have our podcast logo art. $22.99 gets you that in a t-shirt. We have different colors, different sizes, and different styles of that. And finally, last but not least, how can you say no to our mascot, a peanut eating peanuts while cheering on the San Francisco 49ers? $22.99 gets you that in a t-shirt. Our charity is Mountain Comprehensive Care Centers in Kentucky. Donate to them today. All the proceeds go to them. We don't take any dime out of it.
Yep. The link to the store, like he said, and more information on them in the show notes. We just want you to have a cool t-shirt while helping a family in need. So, with that, it's the end of the year, and we will disclose with you how our schedule will accommodate that accordingly. We will still have an episode this Friday because we have to talk about only 4 in the class of 2024 for the Hall of Fame. And yes, we will address Debo as well. I don't know.
I will not be here for the show because Friday is the parade, and Thursday I'm staying over at my buddy's house for it. So I will not be here on Friday's show. So
facts.
But
don't blame you.
Eric Allen.
Yeah, I'm gonna say you don't need your vote for Eric Allen now.
Finally, Eric Allen is in the Hall of Fame. That makes me happy. I wore his jersey throughout the playoffs when I found out that he was a finalist, and I made the proclamation that was going to be the only jersey I wear until he got into the Hall of Fame. Luckily, he got into the Hall of Fame, and I can wear other jerseys again. So,
and there's no Eli.
There's no Eli, and some of the arguments for him to be in the Hall of Fame. I'm like, you realize, like, you're comparing him to Terry Bradshaw, Joe Namath, and
Montana.
John Elway, quarterbacks who played in different eras. And like the difference between Joe Montana and Terry Bradshaw and Eli Manning, yeah, Eli may have more passing yards and more touchdowns, but Terry Bradshaw and Joe Namath called their own plays. They were the offensive coordinator. They memorized the playbooks, and they were the ones who put in the play. Like that's what they did, and that's what quarterbacks did in that era. Eli Manning, he may have said, "Hey, you may want to go with this play or whatever," but again, like Ben McAdoo was the leader, of their offense, and their offensive coordinators. Yeah, they gave Eli the plays, and he may check or whatever, but it's definitely nothing compared to what Joe Namath and Terry Bradshaw did as quarterbacks. And people are like, why did Joe Namath get the MVP for when they beat the Colts? Because he didn't have really the best game statistically, and that's because he called his own plays. He called the whole Super Bowl. Quarterback did it, called every single play. They won that Super Bowl. That's why he got MVP, and that's why he's in the Hall of Fame. Eli Manning, 118. That was his record. Couldn't beat the Eagles. Got hot twice. Needed a dropped interception from Asante Samuel and a miracle helmet catch to beat the Patriots.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like,
I mean, for me, the measure is when another team was facing the Giants. Did anybody ever go, oh, here comes Eli onto the field? And the answer is no. I mean, nobody ever did. Like, people would be like, uh-oh, Peyton's got the ball back, or uh-oh, to harken back to the olden days, uh-oh, here comes Montana with the ball, I mean, something like that, people would be legitimately concerned that you're handing the ball back to one of these guys with a chance to win the game or anything, right? No one was ever like, uh-oh, Eli's got the ball again. I mean, no one was ever concerned because maybe he would do something, maybe he wouldn't. It was just a toss-up. He's just a pretty good quarterback. I mean, he's got two Super Bowl victories because his defense carried him the entire time.
We need to make our own hall of pretty good. Like, that's something we could do this offseason. Like,
yeah, I'm down.
Make our finalists for the hall of pretty good, because that cracks me up every goddamn time you've said that. It's so funny to me.
And the thing about it is the helmet catch too. Like, you could argue that Eli was in the graphs and they should have blown the whistle for a sack. Like, he was like,
yeah,
like we've seen that situation where a ref blew his whistle for in the grass, because
now it would be a sack.
Yeah, like I think like with the way everything goes today, the ref would have blown his whistle, called it a sack, boom, game over. And so I don't know. Eli not in the Hall of Fame. The one time Eli and the Giants were the best team in the NFC during the regular season, they lost to the Eagles in the divisional round. So yeah.
Yep. Well, we will dive deep into who did make it. Also, I will say I'm sad for Vinatieri, but I get it. He's a kicker. But anyway,
he'll get it.
All those, that and the Debo story will be on Friday. And then the long dreaded off season, minus the draft and free agency and whatnot. But this was an awesome season. This was a lot of fun to do. And to continue onward, we're now, year 4. And yeah, we're not going anywhere. So we'll be back on Friday, and it's the start of the off season, y'all. So yeah, it's been a blast.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
The outro music, River Road, Justin Youth.
Adios, y'all.
River Road, you got me running way back home. River Road, you got me running all night long. You got me singing some canal boat song. River Road, you got me running all night long. River Road, where have all the women gone? Have they kissed her hand and waved you bye-bye? Have they thought about crossing your double yellow lines? River Road, they love the way you whine and cry.